Alrighty, so it's been about a month since I've uploaded a video. So the last video I did was just painting the clone trooper helmet. That was seems to be doing real well. You know, fun little project. I like to paint where I can. I don't know. Sometimes it just feels like I don't have the patience for it, unfortunately. But it's kind of reinvigorated that feeling to want to paint. But in the meantime, we have Jedi Survivor and the Diablo 4 server slam that came out, so I've also been trying to get that done. I've beaten Jedi Survivor, and so I'll make a video about that, because as much as I like it, there were definitely some glaring problems, and not just, you know, the people complaining about the performance problems. There's more to it than that. But talking about Diablo 4, it's crazy to me that I'm finally playing it, I guess. You know, mind you, the game doesn't come out for another couple of weeks, but Diablo 3 came out in 2012, I believe. I haven't played it in a minute, but I'm sorry, did I say 2003? I meant 2012. And so, mind you, it's been over 10 years. It's kind of crazy that it's taken this long, in my opinion, to come out with a sequel. Especially when they're not really changing much, as in gameplay perspective, you know what I'm saying? It's still the classic Diablo camera angles and fighting, like button mash in a sense. Buttons to use skills. It's not like they've made it now where, oh hey, Diablo 4 can be played in first person or anything like that. It's still the same. It's just kind of crazy to me that it's taken, you know, 10 plus years. And in the meantime, we'd gotten Diablo Immortal, which I did not play because I don't care to play mobile games. And at the same time, I'd also seen, you know, all the reviews of people talking about the horrible monetization. And I didn't think Diablo 3 was that bad when it came to monetization. I know there was the auction house or whatever, similar to RuneScape, I believe, and that kind of became a problem. I enjoyed Diablo 3, you know, I had no really issues with it. I think the main problem people had, because I've played Diablo 2, I think the main problem people had with Diablo 3 is that it was too, like, cartoony or something. And then, you know, loading up Diablo 4, it's going right back to being very, very dark and medieval. And I do like, because you couldn't customize your character to this degree, if I remember correctly, in Diablo 3, or at least didn't look this good. I do like the character customization. Mind you, it's funny, like, you basically have your presets, you know, you're not going in depth like, hey, I want my nose to be small or my lips to be big, whatever. No, it's like, hey, you know, pick from these faces and kind of do what you can with the hair and, you know, tattoos, stuff like that. And so obviously I chose Necromancer because that's the class I played the most in Diablo 3. Necromancer and Crusader. I didn't see Crusader as an option in this one. I do wonder what the DLC characters will be for this, or classes. And so far from what I've played, mind you, I should have done other classes. I was just trying to get to level 20 as the Necromancer and kind of look around first. I noticed that the skill tree is definitely different from Diablo 3. It seems more like a classic RPG. I'm comparing it to Diablo 3 just because it was the last main entry. So I'm kind of picking the differences between the two. And the skill tree now, I feel like, you know, it reminds me of Dragon Age Inquisition a lot. And that's not a bad thing. I like the skill tree in Dragon Age Inquisition. I feel like, you know, they did a good job. So that was interesting. A lot of the skills seem kind of the same. That kind of, I guess, threw me off slightly. I thought there were, I mean, unless I just, mind you, a lot of the stuff is kind of limited. You know, it's not like I could just freely level up max level and unlock anything I wanted. So you know, I had picked where you can shoot like a blood spike, blood lance, out of your hand, or a bone spike. And I remember that being a thing in Diablo 3 for the Necromancer, and also corpse explosion, which is super handy. I'm curious to see if they'll make it as broken as when they did in Diablo 3, where I basically could do it where I do a corpse explosion. God, I'm sorry I'm yawning so much. It's only 5 p.m. You know, Diablo 3 is so broken where I can't remember all the skills I had picked for it, but you did a corpse explosion, and you could basically do it where it also like chain explodes any other corpses near you. And, you know, it was so high damage that it would kill people, and then it would just be like an infinite corpse explosion, you know, combo, which was great for me. But yeah, so, you know, so far, I am having fun. I met some other players. Didn't necessarily speak to them. You know, we did random events together. Unfortunately, you know, there was one event that had gotten glitched where an enemy couldn't die, and so it just infinitely kept spawning enemies, which is cool for leveling up, but also, like, you know, damn, your game's coming out in 2 weeks, you know, 2 or 3 weeks. It's like, you gonna fix that, you know? I could go off on a tangent about, you know, the whole, you know, because this is $70, and so there's that whole conversation and argument about, well, you're charging us $70, but what is your actual, like, what is your actual reasoning for that? And, you know, you look it up, people will say, oh, well, realistically, you know, they should be charging us $90 to $100, and it's like, I mean, they can, but I hope they're ready to suffer the consequences of nobody buying their fucking game. Because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, you're jumping up to $70 because of more intense requirements for newer hardware. Which, you know, okay, fair point. But then you release, you know, with Jedi Survivor, I only had a couple of problems when it came out, but, you know, I'd say 80% of everyone else had horrible problems where they couldn't even play the game. And that's kind of unexcusable. Like, $70 and you're like, really? You know, to me, it's like, well, hey, you lied to me. You lied about this product. I should get some form of compensation for you lying. And with Diablo, luckily, Diablo 4, I haven't run into any crazy issues besides that glitch. There were some, you know, frame rate lag problems, but I didn't think too much of it. Graphically, it looks good. It looks more real than Diablo 3, not as cartoony, but it's not, you know, it's nothing super crazy. You know, I would love to get people to get on, you know, like some friends and play with it, but, you know, I don't blame people. Like, you know, it's easier to be like, hey, this game is on sale for, you know, $9, like, haha, let's all go play it. But then to be like, oh, you know, Diablo 4, it's $70, let's play it. And it's like, well, you know, you just kind of have to look at it like, in my opinion, most normal adults might have, you know, an hour and a half a day or 2 hours to really sit down and play a game while trying to maintain everything else in their life. And so, you know, it can be tough to be like, hey, everyone, spend $70, let's go play this game. And as fun as Diablo is, I know people can find the gameplay very boring and unfulfilling because it's, hey, stand there and just keep clicking buttons. Which, mind you, realistically, every game is stand there and click the buttons. But, you know, it's not like, I guess you could say, you know, an FPS or something. Not that I'm saying an FPS game is better, but, I mean, yes, you know, you can dodge, but you are basically just, you have your character stand in one place and you might dodge out of the way, and you just basically just keep spamming buttons. you know, it is what it is. Am I saying that that's what I think? No. I love playing Diablo. I think it's fun. You know, I played Diablo 3 basically since it came out up until like last year, basically. And I like the world, you know, I like the lore of Diablo. And I do like seeing like the spells you can cast and all that, so, you know, $70 to me, it's like I know what I'm getting into and I know I'll enjoy it. Mainly because also, you know, Diablo 3, you literally could, like, people played that even now, you know, 10 years later, people are still playing it because it, you know, I think it has a good replay value. You basically just did like daily hardcore bounties and stuff. I'd be curious to see how much story DLC and things that they bring in for this. And, you know, I will also say, you know, when I try to sell Diablo to people, I tell them, especially if they ever had a PS2, that it's very reminiscent of not Baldur's Gate. I mean, I guess you could say Baldur's Gate, but Champions of Norath. I had played Champions of Norath when I was a kid first. I'd never even heard of Diablo, you know, because I played like RuneScape and stuff like that. And coming from Champions of Norath to Diablo 3, and then playing Diablo 2, and then playing the Diablo 2 remaster, it was like, okay, this is definitely a unique style of game. As you can see, like, there's so much new, like, skills to pick from, and you really do have variety of choice. Although, when I walked around, the NPCs I did saw, there were definitely necromancers, but I saw a lot of druids. I guess that's the huge thing people really want to try out now, because, you know, that you can transform into a bear and stuff. I'm not sure if you can transform into other things. That's just the main one I saw. I mean, and they were basically a super tank, just wrecking stuff. And I will say, because I believe I had this on World Tier 2, just because, you know, I'm familiar enough with Diablo. I was like, okay, you know, I can do it. And yeah, it's, you know, it's perfect. It's that perfect challenge as a beginner, where you might, you know, it's enough of a challenge, I will say, because there were a few bosses where they just wrecked me. I mean, I don't know. I just got destroyed, and you learn from it. The dodge mechanic is interesting because, if I remember correctly, Diablo 3 on PC did not have a dodge mechanic or a roll mechanic. But Diablo 3 on console did have a roll option. But if I remember correctly, there was no cooling. You could just keep rolling and rolling, and it was really effective in rolling away from enemy attacks. And I always just remember thinking, so you can put it on a console version, but you can't implement it into PC. Like, really interesting. And so it looks like they, you know, definitely heard people's complaints, and now you can do a dash, you know, slash, like, dodge move, but I think it has a 5-second cooldown. Yeah, there's not really much for me to say, you know, it's really just, I just wanted to show off the gameplay. There was just a few things, just like the dodge thing I just talked about, that I wanted to talk about where, you know, differences from the last game to now. There's also, like, your character did speak in Diablo 3, but now it feels a little bit more cinematic, like when you talk to people, kind of zooms in, and I feel like in general now there's more, like, cinematic looking scenes. And I think there was one in-game cutscene, like, not like the cinematic, but, you know, like gameplay graphics and textures, but it was a cutscene. So that was neat. You know, because in Diablo 3 it's basically like, okay, you know, you know, fun looking game. Then it just cuts to this amazing, beautiful cinematic, and then it just goes back, and there's really no, like, the in-game cutscene, quote unquote, was meh. You know, so I think they've improved on it visually and made it more cinematic and enjoyable. But I guess that's going to be about it. You know, from what I've played, you know, it's more of the same, but changed enough where it is, you know, interesting. Could a complaint be made that it's basically more of the same? Yes. But look at most games. You know, it's kind of more of the same. I know that new Zelda game came out, and I know they've added new features, but, you know, in my opinion, it looks like Breath of the Wild, and you could say, oh, it's more of the same. So, you know, if you like Diablo, you're gonna buy the game. And if you've never tried Diablo, this is probably, you know, a good starting point. They've changed a lot, and, you know, I don't think it's too confusing to understand. There's plenty of people who will be playing who will help you out. So, I didn't look, but I do hope that some of the stuff I've done for this server slam will actually carry over, because, you know, I did play for like 5 hours, and I'd kind of be annoyed for that to be wasted. So, yeah, you know, let me know if you know, if you're curious about Diablo, if you're gonna get it or not. I believe it will come out on consoles as well, but I'm actually not sure. I would hope so. I mean, if Diablo 3 came out on console, I would assume Diablo 4 will. You know, once I play it more, when it fully releases, I will definitely make a video over it and talk about it more when I have a better, clearer understanding of the full story and, you know, different maps and stuff like that. So that is going to be it for me, but I'm going to keep the video playing just so you can really see, you know, just like some of the background stuff. So, as always, thank you for watching.
Impressive.
Thanks. I hope they don't get used to it.
I need more time. require aid.
My child. All alone in this darkness. Please, help me find my baby.
I need more time. I'm out of essence. More time. out of essence. I'm not ready yet.